it be like to be a human resources professional turned sales consultant specialist and entrepreneur? Well, that's exactly what you have in store for you today on this episode. We've got this fantastic guest. Her name is Leighann Lovely. And yes, she started out in human resources, wanting to help people in their careers. But, a downturn in the economy, and there you go. She was off looking for a new career. And not only did she find it within sales, she actually found that she loved it and could thrive within it all. And from there, actually built a business out of it all. And we're going to break down all of this in this episode today. And I really like it for a lot of different reasons. I mean, one is just the reality of life and living. Sometimes there are some curveballs that you don't foresee, but they can actually amount to these great fork in the road moments for you where you can find yourself and find a new passion. Beyond that, we get into the world of sales. You're going to hear some of the tips, some of the essential learnings related to that field to be successful within it all. And then finally, you're going to hear a little bit more about Leighann's pathway into this. So all up, I think it's a really inspiring episode, and there's so much to be gleaned, whether you're into sales, whether you're not. There's just these overarching sort of themes that are going to be beneficial. So as always, I do encourage you to check out the full-length audio version, and you can do so wherever you access your podcast. Just do that search for Life as a ... All right, well, I think it's about time to get into things. So why don't we? Okay, well, first up, I'd like to invite you to step into the world of Leighann and her business. And here you're going to learn a little bit about what types of tasks she's keyed in on, the variety of work that she's involved in. And I think it gives this nice overview of what this type of profession, what this type of business could be all about. So check it out.
I couldn't tell you what a typical day is going to look like because I do sell multiple products. There are some days where I'm selling coaching services on a global basis, where I'm speaking to people that are in Japan, where I'm speaking to people who are in, multiple countries because I'm selling a certain product. And then there are days where all I'm doing is meeting with my coaching clients who are, solopreneurs trying to navigate the world of sales. And then on another day, I'm talking to my staffing clients about, the quality of candidates that we're submitting to them. And then I'm also doing a demo for a CRM solution that they can help create and build their pipeline of long-term, sales leads. So I don't often have a typical, and then on top of that, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm also doing accounting and all the other stuff that goes along with that. But so I don't have a typical day. What I will tell you is that every day I'm selling something. Yeah. Every day I'm building relationships. Every appointment that I take has a purpose and a reason. And every single one of them is about creating mutual understanding for how we can assist each other, help each other, and grow from there.
Now, off the top, I did mention how Leighann actually began her professional journey and career within human resources. But along the way, things transpired to the point where she had to change. And here's a clip from a segment I have on the audio podcast called Pathways, where guests kind of just break down how they made their way into their work. Now, what I really like about this clip in particular is it speaks to a few different points that I think are important. Notions of serendipity within professional careers and journeys. And also this notion of finding fulfillment and passion, as well as, how sometimes entrepreneurship just naturally takes shape. So listen in. I think there's a lot to be gleaned from this.
I grew up in a sales family. And I think it was a surprise to a lot of people that I didn't follow that path to begin with. But I will, having a lot of self-awareness now, a lot more now than I did, back in my younger days, is the reason I think that I didn't start in sales first. So yes, the downturn in the economy, I went into HR because I wanted to help people. We glamorized, the different jobs that we decide to go into, right? Um, but at that time, HR was, you become an HR professional, you get to mentor and coach people, you get to, and then 2008 hit, and then I was out of a job. And then I'm floundering around trying to figure out, well, what do I want to be when I grow up? Because nobody's going to hire the brand new corporate HR girl when we're downsizing every HR department across everywhere.
Yeah.
So I one day, after floundering around for a long time, I walked in to the house after work one day and I said to my then boyfriend, now husband, I'm going to go into sales. And he looked at me and he goes, yeah, right. And I'm like, no, 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 I'm going to go into sales. And he's like, okay, good luck with that. And I'm like, but you don't understand. You're going to have to pay all the bills.
It gets better.
And he's like, oh, for how long? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, because nobody's going to hire an HR lady to be a salesperson. Like, these are two different things. And he's like, okay. But he bought into it. And I started selling makeup at a Sam's Club. And then the owner of the business walked up and he said, I need somebody with your tenacity, with your personality, working at my company to breathe new life into it. And I was like, yeah, 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 sell my, buy my makeup.
Mm-hmm.
He was serious. He hired me.
Hmm.
And that's where I cut my teeth. And I loved it. I loved the excitement. I made a game out of it. It would be like, okay, how many phone calls can I make until I get somebody on the phone? And that's where I really got that itch for that entrepreneurial spirit, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
all of the sudden, I have the ability to write my own paycheck. Like if I can sell 10 more of these, I can go on that trip that I want to go on, right? It's the only profession in the world where you get to choose how much you make depending on how much you're willing to work. Not that I'm advocating that everybody should go out there and, you know, work until they're dead, but it is truly the only profession in the world that you are paid exactly what you're worth. For what
Mm-hmm.
you put in, you get out. So I, then went into selling this and selling that. And my husband kept saying to me, you should run your own business. I should start a business and you should be my salesperson. And I'm like, no, 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 corporate America, I'm going to stay in corporate. Well, one day it just fell on me. I
Mm.
had two job offers and I'm like, well, you guys can't pay me enough. And then I went, wait, I'll take them both. I'll do this as a contractor and I'll do this part-time. And lo and behold, I had a business and it made sense. I started as a fractional salesperson and all of a sudden all of the pieces started coming together. And I'm like, wow, I could actually run my own business and people would hire me to sell their stuff.
Yeah.
And it's exciting and I love it. And I get to sell different things to different people at different times. And it's never a dull day. I don't get bored of selling the same thing. And I get to really, really get to know people. I have the privilege to really get to know people.
Now, in the course of having this wonderful career conversation with Leighann, we did touch on a number of topics. And one that is critically important, I feel, and certainly Leighann feels as well, is this notion of mental health. Now, Leighann herself, she's quite open about some of her past struggles, that being bipolar disorder, and how she had to kind of work through all of that whilst juggling a professional career in business. Now, she also did use those experiences to try to help others and to serve as a bit of a guiding light. So this is a point in the conversation that I do want to highlight. And the entry point into it for this clip is I was asking about how small to mid-sized companies handle mental health issues as opposed to some larger organizations. So a lot to be gleaned from this clip. So check it out.
In my opinion, I think that they're doing better than the large because
Really?
there are more people, especially the small, there are more people out there talking about it, and having conversations in general settings. You go to a networking meeting, they are more willing to have conversations just in an open
Yeah.
setting. And I came out publicly, I don't even know how many years ago now it was, publicly, saying I have bipolar disorder. And And I remember when I told people that I was going to do that, they're like, "Are you ready for the ramifications?" And I'm like, "I absolutely am ready for the ramifications." And the small business community was the first people to say, "That is awesome. I'm so proud of you." And by the way, I also suffer from depression, and I've been seeing a therapist for years. And oh, and by the way, and I was like, wow, like
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure that like a third of this room, is in therapy, and like everybody is now telling me about their mental health. It is wildly more accepted in those small communities, and not that it's not accepted in large companies, but they're struggling to figure out like, well, how do we educate middle management? How do we educate the higher ups? How do we educate all of these different levels when we've done it for this way, done it this way for so long?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Whereas the smaller companies, they're like, oh, yeah, my son also has, he's on the spectrum, or, he's neurodiverse. And it's one of those things that it's much easier to be able to just gather everybody together and be like, okay, we have a new employee starting. He's asked for special accommodations. We just want to explain it really quick. And everybody goes, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where whereas at a really large company, everybody's like, why all of a sudden is this person getting the desk closest to the bathroom when I asked for that 10 years ago and I never got it?
Right, 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 right. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the rules, the protocols within large organizations are going to make things much, much different than a small and mid-sized company, which are a lot more nimble and flexible and able to shift things a lot faster, more times than not.
Correct.
Yeah, I really like that last clip there. I mean, professional journeys as relating to careers do not exist within this vacuum. I mean, we as humans, we kind of represent this certain messiness. There's always different types of things that we as individuals are dealing with, trying to handle. And a big part of that oftentimes does relate to mental health. So by having some of these frank and open discussions on the topic, I think it's important. It helps advance causes and increases a better understanding of what people are sometimes battling through. So in light of that, I hope you're able to attain some insight and also maybe a dose of inspiration as well. Okay, well, I would like to shift into one last clip here, and this is returning to the point of sales. Now, Leighann herself drops in several different insights and tips as relating to sales, and this one, I was kind of aiming to find out what are the most critical skills relating to being successful within sales itself. So here's what Leighann had to say about that. In terms of like distilling success within sales down to say the top two or three qualities of a person, that they need to exhibit, what would you say they are? I mean, you listed off several there, from relationship building to, listening to, a few others, but what would you say are the most critical ones?
It's listening. It's the hardest thing for any human to do because we listen. A lot of people listen to half the information and then start calculating their response.
Mm,
We start going, okay, when can I talk? When when is it my opportunity to be able to speak next? And if you're not the kind of person who's like, oh, I want to jump into this conversation, you start listening. And if it's not of interest to you, or you're not like, you start to kind of like think about, oh, did I turn the washing machine on or did I turn the stove off?
mm,
If you are not one of those people who can truly listen to hear, listen to learn, you're never going to be able to be a great salesperson. You have to like really be able to shut down everything else that's going on and listen, because often what people are saying that they need, or what they want, my apology, what they want is not what they need. And in order to be a great salesperson, you have to be able to listen to what they're saying they want, tell it back to them, and then decipher whether or not what they want equals what they need in order to solve the problem that they're
mm.
explaining that they have. Because if you were to tell me, Christopher, that you want something, but then in that same conversation, you're explaining the problems, and your want and your problem are two different things,
Yeah.
I can't provide you with a solution that is ultimately going to fix digest whatever's happening.
Mm.
The number one thing that a salesperson has to be able to do is listen.
Okay, well, I think it is about time to draw this video to a close. But as always, I do encourage you to check out the full-length audio version. There, you're going to hear topics as relating to AI in sales and how that's shifting and changing things around. Leighann also shares this really great story relating to perseverance. Plus, she's not shy about providing different insights of what it truly takes to be successful within sales. So yeah, definitely check all of that out. And you can do so wherever you access your podcasts. Just do that search for Life as a ... And really quickly, while I've got your attention here, I'd love that like or subscribe. It's the best way to let this algorithm know that the content does matter. Okay, well, I will have a new profession covered for you right next week, so don't miss it. We'll see you then.